NBA draft, which of course means the Atlanta Hawks are on the clock. Our draft expert, Jonathan Gavoni, released his latest mock draft this morning. Zachary Risache is the first pick to the Atlanta Hawks, followed by Alex Sarr at 2 to the Wizards, and the Spurs taking a pair of point guards at 4 and 8, and Stephon Castle and Robert Dillingham. And look who's here, JG himself. So, JG, NBA fans, they might not be too familiar with Alex Sarr and Zachary Risache, but everybody knows Bronny James. Your latest mock draft has him going to the Lakers with the 55th pick, and you reported yesterday that Bronny has only worked out with the Suns and the Lakers despite other teams trying to get him into their building. So why exactly is that the case?
Well, I spoke with Bronny James' agent, Rich Paul, this morning. Very interesting conversation. He confirmed that Bronny has only conducted workouts with 2 teams so far, the Suns and Lakers. He says he's comfortable with where he might land ultimately on June 27th, presumably with the Lakers. He said that other teams, such as the Dallas Mavericks, the Minnesota Timberwolves, and the Toronto Raptors, have also expressed interest in picking him. Rich Paul wanted to remind us that he's long had a strategy of steering clients to preferable destinations even later in the draft, with the knowledge they will end up getting guaranteed contracts normally reserved for players selected much earlier. Taylor Horton-Tucker, Brandon Boston Jr., and Chris Livingston were similar examples of players who conducted limited workouts just like Bronny this year. Rich Paul also informed me that there was no package deal for LeBron's signature with either the Lakers or Suns in exchange for drafting Bronny. There's been talk around the NBA that the Phoenix Suns want to recruit LeBron and are dangling the carrot of selecting Bronny at 22nd. Paul confirmed that to me, but said they are not interested in such a move as the Suns are severely limited in the type of contract they can offer LeBron, a minimum contract, which he deemed insulting. Paul also said there's a scenario which the Lakers pick Bronny James at 55 and see LeBron decide to sign elsewhere in free agency. So yes, a lot of interesting news coming out of that call.
Okay, Bobby, you were just laughing here a little bit ago when we were talking, when JG was going through those quotes from Rich Paul. What do you make of all of this?
Yeah, LeBron's not going to Phoenix for the minimum. I think we could probably put that to bed there. I think I wouldn't get caught up that he's only worked out for Phoenix and the Los Angeles Lakers. Certainly being in the Nets front office, we've drafted players that have not come in and worked out before. I think the most important thing is that every team has his medical information. He went through interviews in Chicago. There's a good comfort level with him there. I think it's intriguing Phoenix at 22. 22 is a little bit of a reach to take him.
Right.
I think where they are with their draft equity, lack of moving forward, is there somewhere where they maybe move into the early part of this, maybe move off 22 into the early part of the 30s and pick up some more draft picks here? So I wouldn't get scared off that he's only worked out for 2 teams. I think certainly if there's a comfort level, if you like him at 31, for example, you take him. And then you just have to kind of deal with the ramifications. As long as you have a really good player development program in place for him, that's the most important thing, that there's a plan in place for Bronny James.
Okay, because you mentioned player development, and when you think about the two-way contract, that's the point of a two-way contract, is to try to develop players. We haven't seen Bronny play that much college basketball. That was one of the criticisms with him going into the NBA draft. So do you think that it is realistic for them to say that they don't want to sign him to a two-way contract when he goes into the league?
Oh, I think it's really realistic. I think once you get drafted, that kind of changes a little bit. There were 25 players drafted last year. 10 players wind up signing two-way contracts. The other 15 were, 3 or 4 year deals. The one player that did was Gigi Jackson in Memphis. Two-way contract, gets converted, second team All-NBA. So I understand the reluctance of a two-way, but the reality is that the likelihood he will be in the G League at some point, whether it be on a two-way or on a standard contract.
JG, when you think about teams that want Bronny, obviously he's only worked out with 2 teams, Suns, Lakers. What other teams are actually interested in Bronny?
Yeah, so Rich Paul cited 3 teams. He cited the Minnesota Timberwolves, who he immediately dismissed because he says he does not know who their owner is going to be down the road. He cited the Dallas Mavericks, who LeBron James has a close relationship with Nico Harrison, their general manager. Nico Harrison ran Nike basketball for a long time, and so they've known each other since LeBron was 18 years old. And he called Bronny James, he said Nico is like an uncle for Bronny James. And then he also cited the Toronto Raptors, saying that Masai Ujiri, their president of basketball operations, has long had an affinity for Bronny James. And he said that they have the 31st pick, and it would not be shocking if they decided to take him there even without a workout. Like Bobby Marks just said, not every team needs to see a guy in a workout. And so, maybe people have seen enough of Bronny James. He has a pretty big track record dating back to the Nike EYBL, playing at Sierra Canyon, the Nike Hoop Summit, the McDonald's All-American Games. These are all places that he excelled in. So a team could possibly take him higher than that. I ultimately anticipate him ending up with the Lakers, just because the fit is too strong there. And with them, a guaranteed contract, that's powerful. I agree with what Bobby says about how a two-way could be a development option, but a two-way contract is a non-guaranteed deal. And I don't, that's not a real commitment on the side of a franchise. Giving somebody a multi-year contract, using the second round exception on them, I think that holds a lot more weight. And that's what Rich Paul is ultimately angling for here.
Yeah, Jonathan just hit it right on the head. It doesn't matter if you go at 31 or 55. The money is still the same. This is not the first round where it's a sliding scale based on if you pick first or if you pick 21st, and there's a $5 or $6 million difference here. And we've seen that before, as far as a player going at 31 is basically going to sign for the same contract if Bronny gets picked at 55 by the Lakers here.
Yeah. All right, JG, we do have to talk about the top of this draft before we let you go. Who do you think that Atlanta? Do you think that they know who they have going number one overall a week from now?
I don't believe that they've made a decision yet. They had Zachary Risache, our projected number one pick, in their building today for a workout. Zachary Risache is headed next to San Antonio on Friday, and then he'll work out for the Washington Wizards. So the teams with the second and fourth pick. I think Atlanta is going to explore a lot of different options, including drafting Donovan Clingan, who had a very strong workout there last week. Clingan's size and his length and mobility and shot blocking ability is very attractive to Quinn Snyder. Remember, his best days as a coach came with Rudy Gobert manning the paint for him. So I think the Atlanta Hawks are open to a lot of different concepts, possibly doing something with the San Antonio Spurs and flipping that fourth and first pick, maybe getting their pick. Their 2025 first rounder is owned by Atlanta right now. So I think the Atlanta Hawks are going to be exploring a lot of different situations in the next week or so.
All right, we'll see what they do. The NBA draft just 1 week away on ESPN and ABC. Thank you, JG. Still to come on NBA Today, we will tell you why the news of Monty Williams being dismissed from the